everybody, this is Jen. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be discussing the reasons why I do not recommend using plastic bins for winter sowing. Right here on Garden Jen's Journey. So welcome back to my channel for another winter sowing how-to video. I just wanted to put out there that I've been doing winter sowing for over 6 years now. This will be my 7th year. So I have experimented with some different ways of winter sowing, and I have found what works and what doesn't work so well. And so I'm going to be sharing my experience with you. You are, of course, free to winter sow however you would like based on other people's opinions. I'm just sharing with you today what I have found works and doesn't work at all in my experience with winter sowing. There are some videos out there that show that for winter sowing, if you would like, you can use these giant bins. And they look like they'd be a great thing to winter sow with, because you can fit a lot more seeds in here than you can in a jug like this. And I will tell you, I have tried using bins, but there are some problems with using these, and I'd like to discuss those today. Now again, some people have had success with using the bins, but I have not. And I'm going to explain to you what some of the drawbacks are that I have found, and others that I've talked with have found with using bins. Number one, these things cost a lot of money. I think this one costs like $7-8 or so for one of these. Depends on if you can get them on sale or not. Milk jugs, they are free. So right there you have the cost issue. Secondly, you have weight. Once you fill the bins up with soil, you're not going to be able to move these things. And so, especially if you're in a warmer climate and you need to get your seeds out of the sun because it's too hot, you're not going to be able to move this thing. It's going to be too heavy. And by the time that this has been sitting in the sun for a while, it's going to be very brittle and shatter on you. Whereas these milk jugs, they're very lightweight, very easy to move, and most milk jugs are quite sturdy and will last at least a season, if not 2, before they are brittle and fall apart. So that's the second reason. Third, trying to keep this big old bin at a consistent temperature and moisture is kind of hard to do. This will hold a lot of heat, but at the time too much heat, because you're not going to be able to vent it adequately, or if you do, you lose a lot of heat. If you think about things in your home that you're trying to keep heat in when using, like a crock pot or an oven or even a food dehydrator, something that needs to stay at a consistent temperature, if you're constantly opening the door, you're losing a lot of that temperature, and then the machine has to work that much harder to get that temperature back up to where it needs to be. The same with these. I have found that with using these bins, that I'll have to open it either to vent it or to add water to it, which is another thing I'll talk about in a minute. But I have to open this a lot to try to remedy the other issues. And so by constantly opening it, it's not able to maintain a consistent temperature or moisture level. Whereas if you leave the milk jugs out there, they're sealed, so everything's contained in here. And if you have to add some water because it's drying out, you can easily just put some water in here, or even set this in a tray and it will wick up moisture from the bottom. So you're not opening this container and losing that valuable heat. Speaking of heat, I have to put my gloves back on. It's like 10 degrees out here right now. So the next thing is just the consistency in moisture. I have found through use, and I'll put a link up here to one of the videos I have that shows a little bit of the bins that I used. I didn't record a lot at that time when I was using the bins, but at least give you an idea that I did try using the bins. But one of the things you deal with is the inconsistent ability to retain moisture. I found that I either had, well, I had both. I had spots that were too wet and they were starting to get algae on them, and spots that were completely dried out, so any seedlings that were trying to grow died because they dried completely out. So in the same bin, there was not the same moisture retention going on. Some people use solo cups, some people use cell packs. Like I got some back here. Now they use these cell packs because they think, oh, this is going to be easy. I'll just pull them out just like I do, you know, if you were growing them in the cell packs. They don't work because they dry out way too quickly, or they mold way too quickly. So it's not, it just isn't good. Like I said, some people have been able to do this, but not many. I've heard more and more negative comments and concerns about using bins. Another thing is when you go to transplant, trying to get the seedlings out of these large bins is more traumatic because you somehow have to figure out how to scoop in there and dig them out of the bins, which actually does more stress to the roots. With the winter sowing in the jugs, these come out really easy. You can really slide the whole root ball out pretty easy, or if your soil's moist, they come out real easy. And I'll put a link to the video I did about how to transplant. I did two videos, one for transplanting into seed flats, like you see behind me, if you're going to up pot them for sale or to give away. But I also did a video about how you can transplant directly from these jugs into the garden. A lot easier with this than trying to do it from a giant plastic bin. Another thing to notate, and like I briefly touched on, is durability. These things hold up really, really well being out in the full sun for around 5 to 6 months. The bins, they don't. They get really brittle, especially in freezing cold temperatures. If you accidentally tap one, it can shatter on you. And there goes all the seeds and all the time and effort you put into planting that plastic bin. These I've knocked around quite a few times and they just fall over like Humpty Dumpty, but they don't have a great fall and split open. So these are very durable. A lot of people think that they have to worry about these things blowing away, and so they get a big bin. These guys don't move. You put 4 inches of soil in here and get it wet, these things are heavy. They're not going to move. And if you plant them in groups, that also helps. I've heard some people say they plant them in groups and on the outside they'll have all the handles pointing out, and they'll run some type of string through all the handles on the outside of the group, and it just secures them. I've never had problems with that. I'll post some pictures of what my jug groups look like, either here or here. These guys don't blow away. They're very stable, and I have the best success with these. When it comes to germination, I have better success in these than the plastic bins. Again, in the video that I posted, you'll see that a lot of my jugs, and I think I did 300 that year, had sprouts inside of them. The bins had nothing. I actually had to put what was in the bins here in the greenhouse when it was warmer and grow them here in the greenhouse. So those bins actually put me behind. So it wasn't a good idea at all. So I highly recommend using milk jugs, juice jugs, things like that, and not the plastic totes or bins. I hope I was able to explain it good enough. And like I said, you can do whatever you want. It's your garden. I'm just sharing the experience I've had with doing this method for over 6 years, that these work far better than the plastic bins. And these are free. You're not wasting money if something goes wrong. So I hope this video was informative. If it was, please give it a big thumbs up. Share this video with other people that you think might enjoy this information. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel so you can keep updated on more gardening and other videos right here on Garden Jen's Journey. And as always, I hope that wherever you are wonderfully blessed. Bye-bye.